Yes guys, what's up? So Danny Swift Garcia, the 140-pound champion, the legit champion of 140 pounds, or is he? A lot of people feel that Mauricio Herrera beat Danny Garcia. Some people feel that Mauricio Herrera deserves a rematch, and then Danny Garcia obviously went and took on Rod Salka. My argument is this, right? I understand that the majority of people felt Herrera won the fight, and you know what it is, I've done interviews with Herrera, and I like him, and you know what I mean, he's just a phone call away from me. You know, I can always get interviews with him, he's a good guy, he's always got time for me. Danny Garcia, on the other hand, he hasn't got time for anyone for interviews, he just does his thing. So that, you know, I have no, I don't have any sort of affiliation towards Danny Garcia, but I'm just going to say this, that in the Mauricio Herrera fight, people scored it for Herrera and felt Herrera won the fight. I disagree. I've seen that fight and I watched it carefully and I scored it for Danny Garcia, and I'm going to explain why. Don't dislike, just listen to what I've got to say. The reason I scored it for Danny Garcia is because, you ever heard that saying, you won the battle but not the war? I felt that Danny Garcia overall got beat up in that fight. He got, you know, he got schooled. But the problem is, Herrera did his work unevenly throughout the fight. And what do I mean by that? You see, in boxing, right? Say, for example, I'm going to take a prime example, right? Let me think of something, a good example. Okay, let's take Marcus Maidana versus Floyd Mayweather or Marcus Maidana versus Amir Khan, right? Two examples. Now, some people feel that Maidana beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. and people go on and on about Maidana giving Amir Khan hell. Here's the thing. Yes, Marcus Maidana gave him hell, but for how many rounds did he give Floyd Mayweather hell, and how many rounds did he give Amir Khan hell? You see, the problem is, Maidana didn't do enough to win the fight, because although he gave him hell for one round, and he battered him for one round, it doesn't mean that he won the other rounds, because he got battered for the other rounds. So I'm saying, in both fights, right, that was the case, because Maidana had some good rounds. I mean, he gave Floyd Mayweather some beats, and then in the Amir Khan fight, he also connected Amir Khan multiple times, but it was only for like 1 or 2 rounds. So if you look at the bulk of the other rounds, you can't score it for Maidana, because although Maidana might have done a lot of work in them 2 rounds, maybe even 3 rounds, it doesn't make a difference, because it doesn't matter how convincingly you win that round unless it's a 10-8 round. If it's a 10-9 round, it's a 10-9 round. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like this is the situation for Mauricio Herrera when he fought Danny Garcia. I felt that Mauricio Herrera did his work and it was a close fight, and I gave Danny Garcia the fight by 1 round. I only gave him by 1 point. But I felt that on a whole, Danny Garcia beat Herrera more rounds than Herrera beat him. But the thing is, the rounds that Herrera won, he won very convincingly, and the rounds that Danny won were very, very close, and he won it, and he won the rounds by his whiskers. He just beat Herrera in them rounds. He did not win any rounds looking exceptional to me. He didn't look good in any of the rounds that he won. He just edged it. From power punches to the effectiveness of the punches, he just edged it. Herrera lost a number of rounds to Danny, and I feel like he lost the fight against Danny Garcia, because I feel, like I say, I'm going to stick to my guns. I feel that Danny Garcia won 7 rounds. I give the remaining rounds, the 5 rounds, to Mauricio Herrera, except I think that the 5 rounds that Mauricio Herrera won, he won very convincingly, and Danny Garcia, the rounds he won by just, you know, by his whiskers. And overall, if you look at the fight, Danny Garcia definitely got the worst of the fight, but on points he took the fight, and that's how I scored it, and that's how I look at it. Now, moving on from that little argument that I made, I still have Danny Garcia, the 140-pound world champion. People, you know, and I don't, you know me, what I don't do, I could easily go in this video and say he beat Mauricio Herrera. A lot of people do this where they just skip over certain facts because they want to be biased. I don't. I look at the details of it, and that's why my videos sometimes can get a little bit long, but I don't like to skip anything. You know what I mean? Because then people are going to comment in the section below saying, rah, you said this, and this, and, you know. So I'm not oblivious to these things. Now, Danny Swift Garcia, the thing is this. He then went up after Herrera and faced Rod Salka. Rod Salka, let me explain something. Rod Salka was not even ranked in the weight division below him. I think he was ranked, but he was ranked like 50 something or 100 something. I forget how low it was. In the weight division of 135 pounds. He wasn't even ranked at 140. That is a fight that was dangerous. It shouldn't have got made. It was a disgusting fight. I didn't like it. Okay, check out my post-fight Danny Garcia versus Rod Salka. It's quite a lot of people have viewed it. I did not like that fight. I thought it was disgusting. I like the knockdown of Danny Garcia, but honestly, I didn't like that fight. Because if you like stuff like that, you're going back to gladiator days. This is a sport. It's not, you know what I mean? You're the type of people that would, you know, cheer on someone whilst they're getting killed. You know, that's what type of mentality I think that is, to like a fight like that where Rod Salka got knocked out by Danny Garcia. I appreciate the knockout that Danny Garcia did in terms of his power and whatnot, but I think it was just disgusting what happened. I didn't like it. I'll be honest. I did not like seeing a fighter get in the ring totally outmatched and, you know, totally outmatched on a different level. And I'm happy that the WBC are making it so that you have to be at a certain level to face a certain opponent. I'm all for that, because I think the health of the boxers should come first to an extent. I think that, you know, although I'd like to see more fights in the year, you know, personally, if it was up to me, I'd make fighters go back to the old school, fight 6 to 10 fights a year, irrespective of the monetary value. It doesn't make a difference to me, but that's just me personally. I think that, you know, fighters can fight that much. Ray Robertson did it, and numerous fighters did it. But anyway, right, I think that Danny Garcia and versus Rod Salka was a disgusting fight. I'm happy to see WBC making levels in boxing where a certain level will have to face another level. Also, however, I want to state that Danny Garcia is a brilliant fighter and he has a tremendous left hook. Okay, got a good right hook, but honestly, he has a good left hook. His left hook is brilliant. It gets him out of trouble. If he's struggling in a fight, that left hook helps him prevail. If you look at what he did with Lucas Matisse, even, he got him into the ropes, and it was the left hook that bam, 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 it hurt him. And I know it was the accumulation of punches on the ropes, but having said that, the left hook played a key role in that. And then obviously you look at the Amir Khan fight, you look at the Morales fight, you look at the Salka fight. It's the left hook that keeps doing it for Danny Garcia. So what's next for Danny? Danny is a heavy 140-pound fighter. When he enters the ring, he's weighing now 155 plus, okay? Which is heavy for a 140 fighter. Very heavy for a 140 fighter. So Danny Garcia can very easily make 147. But what he's doing is sticking at 140, using his weight to an advantage, and just sticking at 140 and outweighing his opponents and outfighting his opponents. He's never had a chin problem, so I don't think the weight drain is going to kill him too much. He can still make the weight. I think he has got a solid chin. It's been tested, and I've not seen Danny Garcia drop or get really significantly hurt. He's been in against big punches. The only time I can remember is Judah, but I think the Judah fight was not due to Danny Garcia not performing and him having a bad chin. I think Zab Judah just came A game. You know what the thing is with Zab Judah? Here's the thing with Zab Judah. Either he comes, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about the Judah of the early 2000s or we're talking about the Judah of the late 2000s. Zab Judah has always been a fighter. Either he performs or he doesn't perform. And when he does, he can even come in the ring now and perform. You know what I mean? If he comes in the ring now, Zab Judah could go up against Lucas Matisse and bust Lucas Matisse up. If he comes correct, if he comes A-class, he could come in Zab Judah, face Polymanage in a rematch and beat him. You know what I mean? Because Zab Judah's that type of fight. If he comes in on the night and he performs, he comes in. If he comes in correct, Zab Judah's a fighter. He's still got it even now. And I don't think the age for some reason isn't the thing with Judah. It's the mindset, and it's always been like that. But Judah gave Danny Garcia hell because Judah came in equipped, and I think the pre-fight had a lot to do with that. And I rate Zab Judah for doing that. Seriously, I rate him for doing what he did. He came in, he gave Danny Garcia some beats. I understand he got dropped by Danny. You have to give Danny credit for that. But Judah came in, right? People thought Judah was going to give up and then that, and Judah came in with that strong left hand, moving around, and really, and it was just, I just remember Danny Garcia getting banged about by Zab Judah, and Zab Judah's like that Brooklyn roughneck, that Mike Tyson hood type thing, you know what I mean? And Judah came in and gave Danny Garcia some beats. So you gotta rate Judah for that, because I think Judah came in correct. But that's the only time we've seen Danny hurt at all and in any sort of trouble, really. Moving on from that, what's next for Danny Garcia? Okay, I think Danny Garcia needs to perhaps move up to 147 if he's looking for the money fights, or he could stay at 140. But if he is going to stay at 140, there's a fight I want to see. Either he fights Adrien Broner or he fights Lamont Peterson. I'm not too keen on the other fights. I know there's was it Postol? Is it Victor Postol? There's a few fights there for Danny Garcia at 140, but I personally want to see him against the tested fighters at 140. People aren't keen on the Lamont Peterson fight, but I've seen improvements from Lamont Peterson since the knockout from Matisse. He's a lot more conscious of what comes back at him. He tends to box a little bit more, and he's more cautious when he's brawling on the inside. And I think the Danny Garcia versus Peterson, I think that about a couple of years ago, before the Matisse fight, I think Danny Garcia knocks him out. But I think this Peterson could give Danny Garcia hell because Peterson can box. I think that's an interesting fight. Either that or it's Adrien Broner. And I don't think Broner's going to fight Garcia, their boys. So there's no point even talking about that. If nothing else, if it's not going to be one of them two, I don't want to see any other opponents because I don't think they beat Danny, to be honest with you. I'm not keen on the Mauricio Herrera fight. I don't want to see that again. I've seen it. I think Danny Garcia this time will perform better. Mauricio Herrera, I think he performed to the best he could, and I think that Danny Garcia beats him. I think, and what I want to see is 147. I want to see Danny move up to 147. It's a stacked division, and I think Danny's got plenty of fights. There's Kell Brook up there. There's Mayweather, obviously, but I don't want to see that fight. There's Pacquiao. I don't really want to see that fight. I think I don't think it's competitive. I think Kell Brook will be a tremendous fight, to be honest, at 147. There's the Amir Khan rematch. Now, if Amir doesn't get Mayweather or Pacquiao, I would rather see... If Khan doesn't get Mayweather, I want to see Khan versus Danny Garcia too. That's the fight that I definitely want to see. If Khan does not get Mayweather, I think for both fighters, it makes sense. Because if Danny Garcia can take out Amir Khan again, it takes his stock really, really high because it'll prove that first time was not a fluke, which a lot of people say it was a fluke, a lucky punch. That's what a lot of people say. On the other hand, a lot of other people say that it was a timed punch, and I'm personally part of the group that says it was a timed punch, and it was a good game plan by Danny Garcia and Angel Garcia. But if Amir beats him, then that eradicates Amir's chin problem, and people are gonna say that people can't say no more that Amir's chin's gonna hold him back when he moves up. When he moves up against competition, because Danny, we know, can bang, and he was the one that set the blueprint. And has Amir made improvements? So that fight there, Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia too, I think that's the brilliant fight at 147 for me, for Danny Garcia. Who else is there at 147? There's plenty of fighters. Timothy Bradley, I don't think that's going to get made. Top rank. Keith one-time Thurman versus Danny Garcia. Now, this would be a hell of a fight. It would be a hell of a fight. But I don't see Al Heyman cancelling out two of his main fighters. I just don't see that happening. I think they're both rising in prospects, and I don't understand. Not a prospect. Danny Garcia is not a prospect. Danny Garcia is proven. But at 147, I don't know. First fight, Keith Thurman, really, for Danny Garcia. I think Thurman's too big for him. But then Danny Garcia's proven, you know what I mean? And Danny Garcia can box a little bit. He's got the power, he's got everything. But at 147 for a first fight, fighting a fighter who also has 154, nah, I'm not about that. I don't think that's a good fight for Danny. There's one Manuel Marquez, but he's with Top Rank. Sean Porter, perhaps, but I think that's a difficult fight for Danny because Porter carries a lot of speed and he can rough up on the inside. But the problem is, I think Danny Garcia is too strong for Sean Porter. If I'm honest with you, I think he's too strong and he's got too much skill. I think all round, Danny Garcia beats him. The Lucas Matisse rematch on 140 as well. There is that fight out there. I don't really want to see that either. That was one of my favourite fights of 2013. I loved watching it again and again. But to be honest with you, I think Danny Garcia did the job and he deserves credit for it, going against Gill and beating him, and I don't think he needs to take that fight again. I don't think Matisse has performed well enough to earn a shot at Danny Garcia again. But yeah, moving back to 147, who else is there? I don't know. I don't think, apart from the Kell Brook fight, I don't want to see Mayweather, I don't want to see Pacquiao, because I want to see Mayweather versus Pacquiao, Pacquiao versus Amir Khan, and I'd rather see Pacquiao versus. I don't know actually. I don't know if I would rather see Pacquiao versus Marquez. I don't know if I'd like to see that fight more. But probably yeah. But I'd rather see Pacquiao versus Garcia. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Danny Garcia versus Pacquiao if they can make it. But I don't see that fight happening anytime soon. But let me know what you guys think. Have I missed anybody out at 147? I think they are the main fighters: Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Kell Brook, Timothy Bradley, Marquez Khan, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Saddam Ali. That'd be a good 147 fight, you know, for Danny Garcia. Let's see, because stylistically, Saddam Ali is up there with the elite now. He beat a good fighter in his last fight, in his last outing. I think Saddam Ali would be a good fight for Danny Garcia at 147. Let's see how that would go. That would be very interesting because we know Danny Garcia struggles against boxers, and Saddam Ali is an Olympic fighter, right? He's competed in the Olympics, so, and we know he's got a good amateur record, and we know he's proven now at 147 in his last fight. He's shown that he's up there with at least the top 15. You know what I mean? He's getting there. So I think Saddam Ali is a good fight for Danny Garcia at 147. I'm just trying to think if I've forgotten any other fighters. I can't really think of anyone. Devin Alexander. I don't think that does any justice for Danny because I think it's a dangerous fight. One, because Alexander's got a tremendous chin, and two, Alexander can box. But I think that would actually be a really, really good fight for Danny Garcia at 147 because we know that Alexander is moving up from 140 to 147. He's not a huge 147 fighter. I think Danny Garcia is even bigger than Alexander, to be honest. But it'll be interesting to see how Danny Garcia deals with a tremendous boxer in Alexander. To be honest with you, I think Devin Alexander edges that fight. That would be a very, very interesting fight. Let me know what you guys think about these matchups. Kell Brook, I think Kell Brook beats Danny. I think I'd actually, yeah, I think I don't make predictions before the fight, but I'm just gonna say that I think Kell Brook has a very good chance at Danny Garcia. I'm not gonna sit here and just off the bat say that Kell Brook beats him, but I'm gonna say Kell Brook versus Danny Garcia at 147. I think it'd be a difficult fight for Danny Garcia to win because one, he'd have to outbox Kell, who comes from the England camp, who can box, or he'd have to knock Kell Brook out. Kell Brook's big, and I think Kell Brook has power to impose on Danny Garcia because Danny Garcia won't have felt power like Kell Brook in the ring on fight night before in a live fight. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the section below. What do you think of all these matchups? Who do you want to see him against? Danny Garcia's doors are open. He's got so many fights, and if he goes and takes a nonsense fight, but oh lord, he needs to have a big fight next. If it's at 140, 147, he needs a big fight because that Rod Salka stuff, yeah, that brought Danny Garcia's stock down hard. So let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the section below. Make sure you subscribe as always. What do you guys think of Danny Garcia? Who do you think should fight next in a bit?